Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Bookhaven. As you might have seen, this is my very first video. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I love books. Books have always been a big part of my life. I wanted to join the community and meet other people and talk all things bookish. We'll start out by giving you a mini tour of my bookshelf, just to give you an idea of what kind of books and what kind of genres that I like to talk about on this channel. First off, we'll start with this shelf here. This shelf is a combination of books that I've started and can be anywhere from a quarter of the way through to 3/4, and some of them almost finished. But I put down, not that I want to DNF them, but I will come back to them. Next off is my middle grade shelf. Now some of these I have read, but most of them are on my TBR and have yet to be read. I do have a 5-year-old child, and I like to say, or I like to think, that I'm starting a library that will be for him, that he will hopefully enjoy when he is older. But honestly, I just love children's books and tween books, middle grade, whatever you want to call it. It's a great way to get over a book hangover, or if you've just, if you've just gone through a huge fantasy series and you need something to restart your brain. Down here on the shelf are most of the books that I've read, so they can be a combination of adult fantasy, fiction, YA. Down below also I have read all these books. Most of the books down here are YA fantasy, YA fiction. You can't really see many of these books, but they're mostly adult fiction that I have on the bottom of my TBR. So books that I want to read, but they're not my priority right now. Next shelf is mostly adult fiction with a few specifically travel fiction stories or nonfiction, as I would say nonfiction is about 20% of the books I read, so it's just a small slice of the pie. Next off, we have some of my very favorite YA fantasy and fiction. I do subscribe to 2 subscription boxes, which I will end up doing unboxings about twice a month. You might notice a lot of these books, or you might recognize them if you do subscribe to Owl Crate. Up here we have more YA fantasy, some epic fantasies, and adult fantasy and fiction. The bookshelves above I will be showing in other videos. They're mostly read, some of my favorite books of all time. So as we get to know each other, I will be uploading about 3 videos a week, and I'll be doing hauls on hauls, as I only keep the books that I absolutely love, and I always like to share what I haven't enjoyed. I like to give to people who I also know might enjoy it more than me. This week I have 5 books that I'm reading, and I'd like to be done by Sunday. The first book is a middle grade selection called Astrid the Unstoppable by Maria Parr. This is a very sweet book that I was so excited to find. It's by a Norwegian author, as I said, Maria Parr, and she has just had this book translated into English and released in Canada recently. It's about a young girl named Astrid who lives in the glen in the mountains of Norway, which, as we get to know each other, you'll find out Norway is my very most favorite country in the whole wide world, and I'm really starting to develop a love for all stories and things Scandinavian. This is a story about Astrid and her family and the people in the glen, and it's just a wonderfully cozy, delicious book. So far, I'm probably a quarter of the way in this and just loving it. It's a great read for winter, so we'll be talking more about that in other videos when I do a review. Next off is the second book in the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. This is The Sea of Monsters. So I finished the first one a couple weeks ago. I will be doing a review of the whole series at the end. I'm probably about halfway through the second book, and this is a famous series, middle grade as well. I believe it's middle grade, not YA. But don't quote me on that. This I'm hoping to finish by Sunday, but I will probably save the review to do the entire series together. Next off is the first book in the series of Daughter and Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, who is quickly becoming my favorite author of the year. Earlier on this year, I read Strange the Dreamer, and I'm very excited. I know Muse of Nightmares is out, and I'm hoping to get it for Christmas, so fingers crossed. Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I'm reading audiobook and the book at the same time, which is something that is new to me, but I'm very much enjoying. So this is a fantasy about a young girl living in Prague, and it has a great love scene in it, epic battle scenes, and also takes place, like I said, in Prague, another part of the world that I have been to, so I'm very much enjoying going through the scenes where she describes the bridge and the castle and just walking around Prague, and it's just very atmospheric. Reminds me of the time I was in Prague, which was also in the winter. So perfect book for right now. Next off is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the series of Nevermore, which I am just devouring and loving. I read Nevermore a while ago and have it up on my shelf with my favorite books of the year. It's a book about Morrigan Crow, second in the series, about a girl who has just been welcomed into a secret society. And there'll be more about this book when I review it. A lot of people have been talking about this on BookTube, and I'm very excited to finish it. Last but not least is the second book by Sarah J. Maas in the Throne of Glass series, Crown of Midnight. Now, I started Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas last week after hearing so many people be excited about Kingdom of Ash, the last book in the series, come out, and I am just devouring this series. I'll be done this book tonight. Just ordered the third and fourth book in the Throne of Glass series, so I'm very excited to talk about that. I own her other series, Court of Throne and Roses, going on with that series, and I very much enjoyed it. It wasn't a perfect series overall, but I enjoy her writing enough to keep going and to be getting hooked into Throne of Glass. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, I'm a total newbie at this, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And Kim with Bookhaven, and I hope to see you again. Thank you!